Welcome back, everyone. Recently, Torp made some kind of response about my video where I talked about the artificial intelligence. I talked about the Bitcoin. And he responded to that video. And he gave a very good response. And after observing his video, and he's talking about his state in Kentucky, how it's not that of a big high-tech state to begin with. Which means is that there's still a lot of people that live there that they're not doing the high-tech jobs, and they're pretty much doing the jobs that have been around since the 80s and the 90s and 2000s, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, they still have some computer jobs here and there, but for the most part, it'll be hard-working people, for the most part. It's not like every day you get up and you get out in Kentucky and everybody in the neighborhood is walking around with a suit and tie and a briefcase. It's a whole different environment, and I understand that. And we do need states like Kentucky. What other states fall into that? Alabama can be another one. Mississippi can be another one like that. The Dakotas, they're into that type of deal. The old-fashioned American way of life. And a lot of Americans love that. There could be some places even like Nebraska or Wyoming. They're into that old-fashioned way of American life. So, it might not get to, let's say, to those states anytime soon, but eventually it will get there. But what is affecting right now, the facts of what states are being affected right now? It are the states that are into that high tech. California, New York, number one, hands down. Massachusetts. Why are we bringing up Massachusetts? Massachusetts is the hub for AI. Why am I saying that? What is the facts behind that? In Boston, Massachusetts, what do they have there? They have MIT. MIT is where? In Boston. What else do they have in Boston? Boston Dynamics. Boston Robotics. If there is any state out there they're into the high tech, that's the top one right there. And they're feeding that type of tech all over the United States. What else is right next to it? New York City and New York State. They're into that high tech. Florida is getting into the high tech as well. You got major cities there as well. California, we already know that. Washington State, another one. Chicago is another one. So it's the big states where they have the big cities, and that's where a lot of the high tech is. You're going to see the effects of what's going on with this AI taking over. But it doesn't mean that eventually it's not going to spread everywhere else. It'll be slower to go to, let's say, like places like Torp says, like Kentucky, or even Mississippi or Alabama. It'll be slower to get in those areas, but eventually it will get there. What do you think Arizona is? It's like, it has turned into a Tesla city. Teslas everywhere. What is the main jobs around here? It's computer science, computer tech, IT tech, programming. A lot of companies like that. A lot. Where there's computers related behind the type of jobs that they do here. And when a lot of that goes full automated, what are you going to do? You're going to work out in a farm? They don't have no farms here. It's all desert and cactuses. Where else are you going to do here? That's why it's oversaturated in the gig economy. There you go. Because back in the day, and Torp knows this, and a lot of people know this, back in the 80s and the 90s, there wasn't that much talk about it. But late 90s to 2000, when the first cell phones came out, and the Microsoft Explorer on computers came out, the computers were getting better and better. What were people saying? Especially around 2003, 2005. What were people saying? And especially families who had young kids, they're about to go to college. What was the main thing back then, 20 years ago, that was saying to their kids and other people? You need to go to college and you need to get into computers. That was the talk. And at that time, that was the fact. They didn't know about AI back then, but they knew that the way it's heading, it's going to be all computer-related jobs, and that's pretty much everything's going to be computers. Right? We can all agree to that. And millions of sons of bitches, what do? Almost 80%, back then, 80% of the people that went to college, where did they go for? Anything that had to do with computers. Computer science, IT tech, computer science business, computer monitoring, computer programming, computer anything. They're all were going for degrees that has to deal with computer. All right? It was a thing. They even told me, said, Dino, why don't you go to school, learn computer, how to become a computer operator or computer programmer and stuff like that. That's going to be something you want to do in the future. But at the time, I was cozy with the food business because I was thinking, I'm making more than enough being in the food business. I didn't have to. But then 10 years after that, here we are 2010, 2011, 2012. The food business started degrading a little bit. Until the gig economy came out. In 2015, 2016, the gig economy came out with the automation, the algorithm, the AI. That's where a lot of businesses were picking up the idea of going full automated and laying off people. They didn't know that in the early 2000s. They didn't know about AI. They didn't know about algorithm. What they knew was computer is the thing. Millions of sons of bitches, they went for it. It's not that they were wrong, they just did not know that in the future, and not too far in the future, that this whole thing with algorithm and AI will come out and take over the whole thing. And here we are today. They don't know anything else right now. Because the majority, they went for computer software, computer science, computer programming, IT tech. They went into those type of fields. That's all they know. And now you got major companies out there in the majority of states that most of it operates with computer intelligence, AI software, algorithms, and all that. The majority of states, not all the states, the majority of states. And in those states, they're getting hit hard. Because these people didn't go out there to learn to do anything else. They learned that this is the main thing, this is going to be the future. Computers is the future. And at the time, they were right. Now, it has backfired. You won't believe how many millions of people out there, they are left, they're being laid off because of full automation and for AI. Companies are saving millions and billions of dollars by laying off workers. And they cannot go to any other companies similar to what they're doing because they're all doing the same shit. They're laying off as well and going full automated themselves. Started back in 2015, 2014, around when this algorithm and automation started coming out. It started gradually, little by little. It started little by little, then gradually it started escalating. And here we are today. It's that it's happening in a massive scale. And those states, if you're in those states, if you happen to live in those states that they're going full automated, you're going to have issues with the employment. You're going to have issues with the economy, big time. That's why it's a good thing that we have Kentucky, Alabama, Mississippi, Nebraska, and a few other states like the Dakotas, where they still have things running the old American fashioned way of doing work and having those type of jobs. But even that is going to be affected. It's going to get slower to those areas, but eventually it will get there. But at least for the meantime, you can escape to those locations. Because if you're in an area, well, let's say you're in a state that 80% of the population, that's their occupation, is computers. And those are the things that get hit hard and laying off the most. You think those people are going to order DoorDash and Uber Eats and Instacart or Spark orders for you to deliver them while they're unemployed? And now, where they were making 30, 35 an hour, they're taking jobs like restaurants, middle class type of jobs that paying like $15 an hour or $20 an hour. And these people were making 30 to 35. Now they're down to 15 to 20. You think those people are going to order a DoorDash order? No, they're going to go pick it up. And millions of them, where they're not working the jobs that they used to do. And when they did have those jobs, they order DoorDash, they order Uber Eats, they'll order Grubhub, because they're making $35, they're making money. They'll order. They're not making that money anymore because it's going full automated. Some of them are still unemployed, and the ones that do found something else to do, they're getting paid half of what they used to make. They're going out to eat. They're going out to pick up their shit, or they're going to the supermarkets to save money and cook at home. That's the problem. But there are certain states in the United States that you can kind of get around that. But that's only for the meantime. And we don't know how long that's going to last. The old-fashioned American way of life. It might last another 4 to 5 years in those locations where it's still a thing. But for how long? 4 years, 5 years? And then after that, it will eventually get to those areas as well, and those locations as well. It's just right now, the main states are affected big time. And if you're living in those states, you don't need me to tell you. You guys, if you are living in those states, you are seeing it. You are seeing it. I'm seeing it here. So, for the time being, there's about 10 states right now in America left out of 50. There's only 10 states left where you can still kind of get by. And until that goes away, then it's checkmate for everybody. And there it is. So good video from Torp. And he's correct on that. like in Kentucky, it's not the same. Let's say if you live in Kentucky, it's not the same as you live in Los Angeles. It's night and day difference. Or somebody living in Miami, Florida, it's not the same as living in Kentucky. It's not. And some people think, some people might say, well, it's a bad thing that some states are kind of back some years. I'm saying no. That is a good thing. It's good that we still have states like that. Because I don't want all the states going high tech. I'm sorry. Every single state was high tech, would be civil war right now. Every state will be affected. So at least you have a place as a scapegoat and say, well, this state is done. It's time to move somewhere else. And is there still an availability? For the time being, yes. But like I said, we don't know for how long that's going to last. There it is. That is that. Let me know in the comments, and I'll catch you guys later.